Welcome to the Happy Dystopian. Today we need to talk about China. Or as the previous US president would say, China! But first, let's have a look at how President Biden's asylum reforms are going. As I talked about during episode 3, Biden recently reversed some measures the previous government took to limit illegal immigration. Most notably, the Trump administration ruled that you had to apply for asylum before coming to the US, thus removing a reason for people to come to the US illegally. Since President Biden has been elected, there has been an enormous surge in migrants trying to cross the US southern border illegally. You currently see footage from Guatemala. Last week, Biden presented his solution. The US has made bilateral pacts with Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras. These countries are going to deploy more troops at their own borders to limit the flow of migrants. In addition to this, Biden has decided not to raise the yearly quota of refugees who are invited to legally come to the US. The yearly number will continue to be 15,000, the same number as during the Trump administration. Biden faced a backlash from the left wing of his own party. Representative Ocasio-Cortez, AOC for friends, wrote the following. Biden promised to welcome immigrants, and people voted for him based on that promise. And for once, I completely agree with her. There is a shocking disconnect between Biden's words and his actual policy. It reminded me a lot of the European approach. The EU has also not been willing to close off refugee status for those who come across the border illegally. Although this is apparently done for humanitarian reasons, it is costing a lot of lives. Prospective refugees do not get an emergency visa to travel to Europe through the usual routes. In fact, the EU is paying Turkey to keep migrants from traveling to Europe. Turkey is led by a regime which is widely known for its human rights abuses. Moreover, Turkey is itself a party in the Syrian war, which is displacing many of the refugees. Both in America and Europe, we are somehow unwilling to be clear on what we want, for electoral reasons. And then the responsibility to limit migration is outsourced to other countries who use violence to solve the problem. I would once again urge all affected governments to stop giving legal status to people who immigrate illegally. This is the only humane way to stop the flow. In the meantime, China is expanding its social credit system. Let's see how that is going.
So, picture your life in a place where everything you do, what you buy, how you behave, is tracked. The government gives you a score, and the score is a measure of how trustworthy you are as a citizen and determines what you're allowed to do, like ever. Boarding a train, getting a mortgage, all goes back to this score. It's called social credit. It sounds like that show Black Mirror, but it's actually happening in China. So how does that change you? Does it change you? What does your life look like when your every move is watched? The system's eyes are in big data, artificial intelligence, and roughly 200 million surveillance cameras. And that's totally fine with Ouyang Haoyu. She's 21, graduated from a good school with solid grades. She's diligent. She's nice. No surprise, she's a 752. That's her rating with Sesame Credit, a private company working with the government on the algorithms for the social credit system. The scores go from 350 to 950 and are based on habits and behavior. Buy clothes or diapers, it's good. A lot of alcohol, too many video games, not so good. Haoyu's 752 puts her in model citizen range and gets her discounts and privileges, like using a shared bike without a deposit. She likes it. Her friends do too. They all have pretty high scores.
Why is all of this scary? Well, first of all, because China's government is greatly expanding its defense spending, is locking up ethnic minorities in concentration camps, and is constantly testing how far it can go in confrontations in Hong Kong as well as in the South China Sea. Although we should remain watchful, I am not afraid that China is going to conquer the world soon. What I am afraid of is in what way the West will try to copy the Chinese mechanisms of control. The COVID crisis has shown that many people in the West are extremely subservient to new regulations and gullibly believe everything the government is saying, regardless of the absurd claims being made. I would not be surprised if we slowly move into the Chinese direction. A first step may be privileges for those who are vaccinated. A next step could be something small. How about giving discounts on train tickets for those people who do not buy too much alcohol? Would you be against that, or can we learn a thing or two from the Chinese system? I would love to hear your thoughts. Is there something to be happy about as well? Of course. Although it may seem we are living in crazy times, people in history have been through this before. And therefore I would like to read to you from the intro of a famous novel from 1859. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. We had everything before us, we had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven, we were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so far like the present period that some of its noisiest authorities insisted on its being received for good or for evil in the superlative degree of comparison only. If that doesn't make you feel good, I don't know what will. Stay sane, and I will see you next week.